The biggest question on everybody's mind is tax refunds. Do I have to surrender my tax refund in a bankruptcy? And the answer is maybe. I always get people get mad at me when I do that, but the reality is this. If you're thinking about filing bankruptcy and you have a tax refund coming, you need to talk to your bankruptcy attorney about it, because a a tax refund could be part of your bankruptcy estate unless you can exempt it, meaning protect it somehow. I like to talk to people first and say, look, where are you at and how much are you going to get? If you're going to get $3,000, okay, what do you need? You're allowed to use your tax refund for legitimate living expenses. I know a lot of people wait all year, or they put money into their extra, like an extra few dollars into their, take and have it withdrawn out of your pay, so that at the end of the year they get the refund so they can pay their property taxes. Paying your property taxes is a legitimate use of your tax refund. Same thing with if you need a car repair, like say you need tires on the car and you use $800 to get brakes and tires put on. If you do that, I want to know who your mechanic is. That would be a good deal. But I also want to know about this, that, or the other thing. What did you use the money on? But if you use the money and take the kids to Disney World, unfortunately, as much as I love Disney World, not a good use of the money. So you got to be real careful about where the money goes. If you've already filed bankruptcy and you're going to get a refund, that's where you need to do some planning with your attorney, because if you have some exemption, let's say you're eligible to put it under your personal property exemption, or you're entitled to the wild card exemption, then you want to put as much of that tax refund under the exemption to save it as possible in a Chapter 7. In a Chapter 13, it's a different story. In a Chapter 13, if you do the right amount of planning before you file, you can take your tax refund, divide it by 12. Let's say last year you got a $2,400 tax refund. I build it into my clients' budgets when at all possible, because if you build it in at $200 a month of extra money on a regular basis, and we look at the expenses and we see, well, what are your expenses? And a lot of people need that money to live on throughout the year. So when we're looking at the budget, we're saying, okay, if I put an extra $200 in, where does, how much money do I have left over to pay creditors at the end of the month? Well, if I put that $200 in, I got an extra $100 a month to pay my creditors. Fantastic. That's my disposable monthly income. So if I give that tax refund away at the end of next year, when I'm in my Chapter 13 bankruptcy, I'm not going to have the disposable income at the end of the month to make this $100 a month payment. And I can tell the bankruptcy trustee that when we're talking about the budgets and getting the case confirmed, so that we know where to go. So, from that perspective, or that question is, it comes down to financial planning for the future. But in bankruptcy scenario, you need to plan it out with your attorney. You need to sit down and have a really good discussion about where it is, and the attorney can also help you on the withholding, because if you're over withholding, the trustee doesn't like that. The trustee doesn't like having the IRS hold that money. And I can understand that. At the same time, if you have under withholding and you're going to owe money at the end of the year, that's not good either, because then by the end of the year, you're coming out and saying, well, Judge, I need to pay this money to my creditors. Oh yeah, and by the way, I owe the IRS. What am I going to do about that? Because I've still got 3 more years to pay my creditors under the bankruptcy plan.